And Dave, we're going to move on into our last topic, and it is time to talk a little bit of La La Land, a little
Purple
bit
and gold
of Laker country. Welcome in, Laker fans, to your segment, and we're talking about them because of the Paul George trade. And Dave, I'm just going to ask you straight out, is there any chance that the Lakers can still get PG13 next year after he opts out after the season?
I think this is honestly their best chance to get Paul George next year. Minus him not getting traded at all from this Pacers team, this is the best option because, I think a lot of fans were worried that if he'd gone to the Celtics, with that potential, 3-year deal re-signing,
and
Gordon
LeBron
Hayward
leaving at the end of the year.
So, there's that. And then there was the Cavs deal, which if he had gone to the Cavs, you're going to compete in the East every year. It's not that bad of a deal playing with LeBron James. God, you got to twist my arm for that one.
You got to play with LeBron.
Got to twist my arm for that one. So I think the one and done potential for OKC is very high. I think that Laker fans should be really optimistic right now.
No, I think Laker fans should be ecstatic. And the reason why is when there were all these talks with the PG-13 trade, when everyone was saying like, oh, well, are the Lakers going to get in? Should they trade for Paul George or just wait out? I was kind of in the minority of just wait out the season. Don't get into trade talks. Don't even mention them.
Yeah, I was horrified.
Then you're going to lose. You're going to give up stuff like a Larry Nance. Almost said a Larry Randall. A Larry Nance, a Julius Randle. Got to give up draft picks. You get to keep them now. And basically at the end of the year, Brook Lopez is off the books technically, but are you going to try to re-sign him? And that's
a backup plan.
You still have your core intact. Lonzo Ball's coming in as a rookie. Brandon Ingram's not a free agent until 2020. Luol Deng, we're expecting him to get moved with his monster contract. We don't know if Jordan Clarkson, what his future is with the Lakers long term. Those are really your two longest contracts besides Brandon Ingram. And I look at what this team, what Magic Johnson could do at the end of it. Paul George could be available. There is a chance that he could re-sign with the Thunder.
Small as it may be.
I just don't see it. I see him moving on from this, especially if they lose to the Rockets, the Warriors, the Spurs. Pick your poison of where you think.
Yeah. No, top of the West is brutal.
And you can potentially have enough to, if Lonzo Ball plays well enough, because that's the thing with me. I think this is going to be a audition kind of for Lonzo Ball to where if he plays well enough, then free agents will be like, they got something cooking over there.
Yeah.
They got something cooking. He's locked down, not going to take any of my money. Let's go there.
Ingram, Ball, and Nance. I like the young core. Randall, obviously not as much. I've been very vocal about that. Not surprisingly.
Sean's a Randall fan. Just got to throw that out there.
That's fair. But again, you have a good young core, solid guys coming up. So I think that's always attractive as long as you can pair that with veterans, with the chance of, look, if I go to that team, we're instantly a playoff team. If they can somehow pull some magic and, keep that 25, 35 win range. If they hit 35 wins this year, I think that makes free agency very attractive for a lot of people, even those who don't have ties necessarily to the town like Paul George. But I think other guys would be like, if they can do that with, as many young kids as they've got and Brook Lopez and Luol Deng as their two vets, imagine what I could do to that team. Imagine how much me coming there would mean to them. And if we could take it to the playoffs, I think that is really setting them up for success in the future.
And I'm glad you said magic because I think Irvin's got a little bit of magic up his sleeve. But Brook Lopez, I'm glad you mentioned him because I was just thinking in my head, he's up at the end of the year.
He is.
Do you think the Lakers try to re-sign him and make him a part of a
He is a backup
three?
plan.
Or because the thing I think of is the two big targets in my head obviously are still PG-13 and a certain someone that will probably not want to play in Cleveland anymore.
Yeah,
that's LeBron James.
Probably overhyped the amount of talk about him leaving Cleveland.
Just because he's got a house out in L.A.
Yeah, the point being there's a chance. There's a chance. He's left Cleveland once. He's won them a ring. They've got their trophy. They've got a championship to hold on to forever. He can move on with his life. He doesn't owe them anything at this point. Yeah. He can leave and the backlash won't be like people burning his shit in the streets now.
Yeah.
So think there's a chance that there's the outside chance that Brody would come here. I mean, could you imagine Westbrook, Ball playing together? That'd be just weird.
I mean, and the thing that I like, and that's the reason why when you brought up before we started recording of like, oh, what if Paul George and Brody both went there? Which by hearing that, Thunder fans are like, dear God, no, we got to keep one of them.
Yeah,
we can't lose both of them.
If the Thunder in consecutive years, or just in a couple of years, I should say, Harden, Westbrook, Durant, Paul George, all leave your team. I mean, that's a low blow, man. I would just be like, you can have them back, Seattle.
Bring back the Sonics, the
Supersonics. Don't disrespect.
To me, and that's why with Brook Lopez, why I mentioned him, I think he's an odd man out.
He is.
Because I think that
talented, but not what they're looking for.
I mean, could you imagine if the Lakers had this as a potential? I mean, obviously the starting five would look different, but you already have Ingram and Ball. And then if you add LeBron, PG13, and Brody, if you could add all three, like that is I'm going 2K mode. Dave.
Oh, we're full 2K.
I'm putting the tinfoil hat on.
Yep.
But could you imagine a LeBron, PG13, Brody adding to those two?
Oh, it would be the most entertaining games.
And the Clippers get swept under the carpet again.
God, they were never and will never be the team of LA.
No, they won't.
You can just leave it at that.
I like how they had their window, and they still couldn't get past a bad Laker team.
Sorry, Doc screwed you, but that's what it is. I mean, there's a lot of guys who could team up together. We always joke about Team Banana Boat reuniting. The Lakers would be an excellent situation for that. I mean, you could talk Dwayne Wade into taking a very cheap contract playing
He's done
there.
in the past.
Yeah, I mean, there are a ton of options. The NBA is no longer a win on my own league. It's now a, hey, I got paid once, I got paid twice. Let me go play with some friends, have fun. And that's the way we want to play the game. Well, I'm okay with that.
And another thing that, I mean, it's different now because when he was with Indiana, I kind of was in the same kind of mindset. I heard it today from Colin Cowherd, where he said what Paul George could be thinking is, you know what? Why would I stay here? Mobility has been good for other players. LeBron moved to Miami, worked out for him. He moved back to Cleveland, worked out for him. Durant, he moved from OKC to Golden State. It worked out for him. I think that we're in to, like, the NBA that we are in now is, like, think back to the movie Basketball. Remember Basketball?
I do.
What's the one thing that they joked about at the beginning of that movie? How sports athletes just move around.
That's the most appropriate one of all of them.
Yes, and they had the rule in basketball that if you're drafted by a team, that's your team for good until everything went through. In basketball, we're in the opposite now. We are in the full mobility era of the NBA, where just because I get drafted by a team doesn't mean I am going to stay there my entire career. Gordon Hayward could be on the move. We look PG13
Derrick Rose left his
Derrick
hometown.
Rose left
Jimmy Butler gone.
A ton of people on
Dwayne
the
Wade.
move. D. Wade left Miami. Now. And I think that with Paul George, even getting traded to Oklahoma City, and technically that you could see that as a mobility thing because
he didn't have a say.
From Indy. I know he didn't have a say, but it's still a new team. I still think that even with being in a new place than he was, he could look at it and say, yeah, you know what? Mobility could work for me. And this is the question I want to ask you. You've got Brent. I'm giving you full power of the Lakers.
Bad idea.
Magic Johnson's been fired. Dave Oster's been hired.
It's a terrible idea.
Here's what you got. Here's what you got. You've got Brandon Ingram.
Yep.
You've got Lonzo Ball. Your two biggest building pieces.
Yep.
If I could tell you that you will for sure bring in PG13 at the end of this year, what other two free agents, ideally, would you want to match with him, Ingram, and Ball?
I mean, you can't say which two because it's still LeBron James and Westbrook if he opts out.
You think so?
Their options. Yeah. I don't see anyone better in the league. I mean, I think Dwayne Wade over Westbrook is probably the only thing because Wade has better chemistry. And you don't really need another point guard because you have Lonzo Ball. But I think Ball, Westbrook, they'd find a way to make it work. And I think if there's anyone in the league who LeBron respects more than anybody else, like Westbrook is up there. I think he's earned it, and the fact that he hasn't won a championship, but he is going, 100 miles an hour into a brick wall in the West out there, like there's still a level of respect there. So I think that you have to go after those, and it's going to sound stupid, but you're going to increase the age of your team. You're going to have kids who are like 20, 22, and then you're going to have a bunch of guys who are above 30. Like that is just how it's going to work out, and that would be the best case scenario because that team would not only be the most entertaining team in the league instantly, but also potentially able to compete with the Warriors. And I say potentially because, again, there's a lot of unknowns in the next year, but I still think that like what the Warriors have is something special. They've got certain, I don't even know what to call it, a certain je ne sais quoi
I was thinking that in my head. I'm like, I don't want to say it.
Yep.
And then Dave said it.
And then I said it.
I love it.
They do. And that pairing in the backcourt plus Draymond Green, Kevin Durant, something special. We'll see how they can recover if their bench is gutted like we expect it to be during free agency. So I rapidly hit F5 on my computer.
Here's the thing that I think of with the Lakers and after this season and looking forward to the next offseason of a year from now. God, we're talking. We haven't even gotten to free agency.
No, free agency has officially started 21 minutes ago.
Yeah, as of us recording this podcast.
And
late
Curry
Friday
just signed
night
his 5-year deal, $201 million.
Nice.
Yep.
But like it's insane that I'm already looking forward to next year's offseason and that free agency. But the only problem I have is the whole speculation of Brody to the Lakers, because I kind of feel like, yeah, it would be great to have, like, we have Ball taking Brody, the more the merrier, but I kind of feel like it's like we've got a point guard. We don't need another point guard. Let's get LeBron, let's get PG13, and let's find someone else. Whether that's a Brook Lopez, because you're going to need someone to play the 4 or the 5, or Zubat. You can have Zubat
I like
too.
Zubac. That's my guy. So I was low key. I was like not gonna mention him, but like honestly, he's a good 5.
But like I kind of like the addition of someone else, whether it's a Brook Lopez, whether it's a D Wade, whether it's even a Carmelo Anthony, just somebody not a point guard for this
Fair enough.
team.
And we were just shitting all over my Indiana discussion about them getting a point guard because Livingston has signed a 3-year deal with Golden State this time.
Okay.
So that's 2 off the board. Patty Mills also signed a deal back with the Spurs. So
that's what you gotta love about recording this during.
I mean, we're doing it live. Fuck it, we're doing it live.
Fuck it, we're doing it live. But I mean, this is really like the time of year that I love.
It is. It's exciting. The whole league is changing, and we're watching teams react to the acquisition of superstars and the lumping of amazing talent to the West. And how's the East going to react? Is it? And again, we're talking about superstar from the East and LeBron James going out West. Well, and again, we're gutting half of this league. We have the G League, we're gonna have the E League, and then we're gonna have the NBA West. Like we're tearing
the
ourselves.
League, the E League. Here's the thing though, that with the Lakers, and I know this is a little bit off PG-13, but it still has to do with their future, and I'm gonna throw it out there. The thing I love about the LeBron James speculation to them in the future is kind of the mindset of it depends on what the Cavaliers A do and B what they do this season. But I would just love it if LeBron said, you know what? I have to get through the Warriors anyways. So let me make a new super team. I know we have some fans
say the word
that
super
hate
team
that.
One more time.
Yes, we have some fans that hate when we say that, but really that's what everyone would call it. Let me get a new collection of guys in LA with the 2 young guys that they already have in order to, it's like, you know what, screw it. We'll go up against the Warriors on the Western side because I know if I just get past them, nobody in the East will touch us.
Yeah, and that's
because we were the ones in the East and I left.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, you're on cruise control. If you can make it past the Golden State Warriors, you just take a deep breath and whatever comes next, you roll over it. I mean, it's not even a consideration.
If LeBron leaves for LA, it will be the death of the NBA Finals because there will be no team in the East.
But what about the Celtics?
No team in the East that will beat the Warriors or this pseudo Laker team that we're building up in our 2K.
The imaginary head
yeah.
in 2K.
They're like, there's not like everybody's leaving for the West. It seems manifest destiny. For this league, and I just feel like if LeBron leaves, it's going to be hashtag death of the NBA Finals.
Wow,
that's what it's going to be because there's going to be no team. Do you think any team in the East will win against the West if LeBron goes to the West.
Unless, like, the
Warriors relocate to the East.
No, I was going to say unless the Warriors, like, have Kevin Durant on a short-term contract and he goes and signs with the Wizards.
Unless trust the process takes a real big step forward.
My money is on the only way it would happen is if Kevin Durant does like a 1-and-1 contract and goes home and plays with the Wizards. That team could be interesting.
They offered a contract extension to John Wall.
Yeah.
So he'll still
Wall,
be around.
Beal, potentially Porter. Like, that's not a bad team.
Gee, Sean wanted the Bulls to give him max money just to screw with me. And I'm like, no. Dude doesn't know how to leave his controller on defense.
I mean, just to be fair, like, yeah, it would be very much a lopsided league. For me, though, this future of the Lakers is super interesting.
It's
Walking
exciting.
away from D'Angelo Russell because of his lack of leadership. And then you have Lonzo Ball, Ingram, Nance, Zubac, that young core. And with the now very high hopes of a Paul George, very high and likely, in my mind, that he will end up signing with you next year for a long-term contract. So I think everything is falling in its place. If you're a Laker fan, you're like, I can see where Magic's going. Now it's the what's next. Okay, so Paul George, we're already just penciling him in for summer of 2018. Now, who's our next guy?
Well, it's kind of like, and here's the thing. This was, I want to say I tweeted this over while I was in California to one of our followers on Twitter, where Laker fan and kind of talking about, I don't know the direction of Magic Johnson. And I said to him, I said, you know what? Be happy that Magic Johnson is doing this. Like, it was right after the trade for, or the trade of D'Angelo Russell. And I said, be happy, because the thing that I see with this Laker team right now is the same excitement that I saw when Theo came to the Cubs. Because it's kind of the same thing. Theo came in, wheeling and dealing, getting the bad guys out, getting young guys in that'll help us.
Stockpile that farm system.
Stockpile the farm system. And this is why I'm excited for Laker fans and why I'm excited for their future, because of the move for here, what Magic Johnson is doing. And I think the Lakers will be back to being one of those top teams in the near future.
Do you think it's 2018? Do you think it's 2019? I mean, this year, honestly, I'm being extremely positive and assuming they can get to 25 wins this year. I think it's more likely that they're at 15 than 25.
It all depends on Lonzo Ball. How well does he ball out?
Right.
How well does he ball out?
I mean, in my mind, it's a 20 to 30 win team. And if they hit that 30 win mark, you celebrate and you're like, look, we're going to add Paul George, pick up another 12, 15 wins with the free agency acquisitions on top of that. You're a serious West contender, and you're loaded for the future because guess what? Rookie contracts.
Yeah, and that's
money.
And that's exactly it. And I mean, the thing with, I agree with you. I think that the only thing that keeps PG13 out of La La Land next year is there's only one thing. Do you want to take a stab at what it is?
Is that if there's an opening on Team Banana Boat?
No, I wasn't going to go there at all. I was going to go with something more near impossible.
Oh, that's it.
If the Thunder win the championship.
Well, that is damn near impossible.
That's the only thing I see keeping Paul George out of LA.
In the words of Kevin Garnett,
anything is possible.
Anything is possible. So
did you know the story that I can't remember what he was supposed to say? But there was I think it was Reebok or Adidas or something. He was supposed to say something else, and they were going to use it. That's why they recorded it. They were going to use it for a commercial, and he fucked it up and said anything is possible.
Christ, that's amazing.
No, he was supposed to say nothing is impossible, and he said anything is possible. So they got it on camera. We got to enjoy it. They couldn't use it for their campaign.
This could be interesting.
What?
Breaking news from Woj.
Okay.
Rudy Gay is plan B if Iguodala leaves.
Huh? He's going to the villains.
Christ. Golden State, why? Why are you doing this to the NBA balance?
Oh, I can't wait. Any last thoughts on the Lakers before we wrap this up?
Lakers, don't worry.
Be happy.
There it is. Immortal words right there.
Is it funny that we talk about Paul George to start, and then the two teams we kind of talk about after. One is just complete, just like, oh my God, what are we going to do from here?
Yep.
And then this one's just the future looks bright because Paul George, I think, will become a Laker next season. But thank you guys for either watching or listening to the Fast Break comment. Comment down below like you always do. I know you guys have already done that. You don't need me to tell you to comment down below. What are you, a trained monkey? I would think higher of you than that. But if you're watching on YouTube, thank you guys for checking out the podcast. If you're on Blog Talk Radio, iTunes, or Stitcher, thank you guys for giving us the listen and or the download. Going to thank you guys one last time. And as always, have a good day, everybody. Woo!